Tiptoe and the Bluebell. It was a very fine afternoon, and Tiptoe, a happy little pixie, was walking through the buttercup wood on his way to have tea with Mr. Almanac, who was teaching him magic spells. Just then Tiptoe caught sight of Marmalade, a big ginger cat who was a friend of his. Marmalade was sitting with a sad expression on his face. "Marmalade," cried Tiptoe, "whatever's wrong?" "My silver bell," Marmalade wailed. "I've lost it." Tiptoe knew that Marmalade was very fond of his silver bell, as it had been a present from Eleanor, the little girl who lived with him in the red cottage not very far away. "I fell asleep right here," went on Marmalade, "and when I woke up it was gone." Then he really began to cry. But Tiptoe had an idea. The gnome tree was right beside them, and he knew the gnomes were mischievous and naughty, so he went over to the door and knocked loudly. "Gnomes," Tiptoe shouted, "give Marmalade back his silver bell. He's very upset." Suddenly lots of little gnome faces peeped out of the windows. "Won't they?" cackled, and a rain of acorns showered down on Tiptoe's head. They were very sore, so Tiptoe ran away. Here Marmalade sat in the sun, and Tiptoe looked through his beginner's book of spells, but none of the spells seemed right. He sighed. "We'll never find your silver bell now," he said sadly to his friend. Then he had another idea, the best of them all. "We'll go and see Mr. Almanac," he said. "He's sure to help, and he won't mind if you come to tea too." So off they went and told Mr. Almanac the whole story. Mr. Almanac picked one perfect bluebell from a jar on the window-sill. Then he said some magic words. Suddenly a sparkling pearl appeared in his hand. The two friends gasped. Then Mr. Almanac whispered more spells and dropped the pearl deep into the bluebell. In the twinkling of an eye there was a silver bell in his hand on a long blue ribbon. Marmalade was so pleased with the bell that he danced up and down just to hear it tinkle. It had the sweetest sound Tiptoe had ever heard. They left Mr. Almanac's houseboat on the river by the wood just as the sun was setting. Tiptoe heard someone calling through the trees, and he knew it was Eleanor, so he said goodbye to Marmalade and hid behind a toadstool. Eleanor came running through the buttercups, and she picked Marmalade up in a warm hug. "There you are," she cried. "I've been looking everywhere for you. Come on, it's time to go home now." The magic bell gave a little tinkle as Marmalade yawned comfortably. "Oh," Eleanor cried, "I am glad I gave you that bell. It has such a lovely sound." Tiptoe went home, smiling to himself. One day, he thought, I'm going to be as clever at spells as Mr. Almanac. And one day he was.